you talking to people from both parties. Like,
Absolutely.
you have friends on both sides, right?
Absolutely.
How important is that to have those open dialogues, those open conversations? Because it seems like in the past, I don't even know, 8 years or so, it's been crazy. Like, if you vote for this person, I cannot be friends with you.
Yeah.
If you believe this thing politically, we're not cool.
Yep.
I think that's crazy, and I think it's just not how we should interact as humans.
It's horrible, right?
Talk to me about that, because I feel like you're someone that is against that as well.
So I have such a hard time dealing with that phenomenon, right? Like, I may not agree with it, but you're not a bad person for what you agree with. You get what I'm saying? Like, 100%. You're not a bad person, right? And there's two ways to look at this phenomenon. Way number one is on the individual standpoint, right? Like, all you're doing is basically choosing from what you have options of, right?
And also, I feel like it's also what you grew up.
That's exactly right. So
like, your environment, I think, plays a role in what your parents taught you.
That's exactly right. So, like, if you've learned something from just how mom or grandma did it, and then this is all you have to choose from, like, you're a human. You're going to move with the selections that you have, right? And it's very difficult to break away. It is, like, psychologically very difficult to break away from what your tribe believes, especially if you don't necessarily understand why your tribe may be wrong or believe that your tribe may be wrong, right? It's like it's just difficult, right? And so I don't hold that against somebody. What I try to do on an individual level is I try to figure out, right, where we have commonality and use that commonality, right, to identify other entry points. Like, you care about kittens? I actually care about kittens too. Like, let's actually talk about animal welfare. And let's talk about what that means for everybody's life. Oh, man, you care about grandma getting affordable diabetes medicine? I care about grandma getting affordable diabetes medicine. Let's talk about how the insurance companies are dragging up these prices. And, like, let me tell you about how I believe about this and what my solutions are. Like, man, like, you care about, you know what I mean? Like, you care about the environment, right? Like, I care about the environment, right? Like, you may have different reasons as to why you care about it, but, like, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and we do a damn good job of listening with our mouth. Everybody, not just politicians. We do such a good job of listening with our mouth when we have 2 ears for that reason. And I bet you if you sat down and actually listened to people, you'll realize that their opinions are not that far apart. The other way, and this is what I believe is the most important part, the reason why we are so divided is because the leaders are forcing that division. Like, let that one sink in. Let that one cook for a second, right? Like, folks are not entertained. It's not cool. Back in the day, right, when Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, you know, was in the House and the presidency, respectively, they would argue till they're blue in the face, go smoke a cigar and eat a steak together. Newt Gingrich, Republican leader of the House of Representatives, Bill Clinton, they would hang out and kick it, right, like, openly. Have a cigar, have a scotch. You won't catch a big-time Republican leader and a big-time Democratic leader. I invite my Republican friends out to dinner all the time. And I'm like, give me the center table in the middle of everything because I want everybody to see. I want everybody to see that we can have a civil dinner even though we disagree. I want people to see right in the middle of Steak 44. I want people to see that we can do stuff. And, you know, I want the gas because we need to show folks that it's possible. But the other side of this is, we as individuals have to participate in our democracy, right? Like, democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a contact sport. And you got to get involved. You got to get engaged. You got to vote. You got to talk about the issues. You got to do the research. Like, you got to do the hard work. Like, especially if you want to complain about something. If you have an opinion you want to post on Facebook, you better be well informed and you better be registered to vote. And you better have participated in that last election, right? Or else don't display it because you lost your ability to do so because you're not participating in the system, right? And, like, the last piece of this is, if we want to change the laws, if we want to change the behaviors, if we want to change, like, how things are operated at the national level, right, we got to change the lawmakers. You want to change the laws, you got to change the lawmakers. So we have to be willing to take that step into the arena to at least try. And that's a big piece for me, right? Like, inspiring folks that they can run for office and be involved. And you may not want to run for office, but maybe you want to work on a campaign, or maybe you care about this initiative, and let's figure out a board or a commission that we can help you apply for. Like, being involved civically is so important because it's not their government. It's our government.
Right.
And the only way it's our government is that we have to participate in our government, you know?
You think we as, like, the general people have not, like, taken ownership of that? Do you think we've kind of just seen it on CNN, all these networks, and be like, all right, that's for someone else. I know I've felt like that in the past where I'm like, what difference am I going to make? So talk to someone like me who's looking at all this going on, looking at the division and saying, what's my vote count? I got one vote. I'm seeing all this going on. I don't know if I can really make that difference. Talk to me about, talk to those people.
Look, if you rock with me,
yeah,
right, and you like me as a person, right, and you're willing to give me a shot, your vote absolutely counts. I lost my first election by 403 votes. You're going to talk to 403 people today, alone. Whether it's social media, whether it's in person, texting, you're going to talk to 403 people by yourself. Nearly 1 million people lived in that district. Over 500,000 of them voted. And I lost by 403 votes.
Yeah.
Your vote absolutely matters. My second election for the United States Congress, one of my votes could have been if we go to war or not.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? To decide the national budget, right? To decide how we make these national investments was decided by less than 1%. 3,195 votes.
Stay on this topic because, I'm just speaking from my own experience, my own knowledge. I'm seeing these ballots in the mail. I'm seeing the president. Well, definitely I got to vote for that one because that's a big deal. But explain how big of a deal it is to vote locally.
Oh, man. So what I always tell people when they ask me, like, oh, how do I start my ballot or what should I do my research on? I say flip your ballot over, start from the bottom. Start the exact opposite from the highest point. So if it's governor, president, senator, whatever that highest point is on your ballot, go to the exact opposite spot on the ballot and start there and work your way backwards. Because those offices, your school boards, your city councils, they are the ones that are impacting your lives every day. Because I bet you like when you turn on your faucet, you like when water comes out, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's your city council member. You like when you flip your lights on and your lights turn on, right? That's your city council member. You like your garbage getting picked up. You don't like your rims getting dented when you driving home, right? Like, that's your city council member at the bottom of the ballot, right? Like, I don't have kids, and I know you don't have kids, but one day we will, right? Hopefully, I hope one day. The governing board members of the school districts are the ones that dictate the strategy for the schools. It's so important that we have people that are going to teach factually based evidence, right? Like, I'm not even talking about political opinions on this. Like, I just don't want my kids learning opinions. I want my kids learning facts. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And, like, the governing board members are the ones who get to dictate what books are. My mom is a governing board member for the high school district. In her 8 years of being on the governing board, said that one of her single most important actions that she has made on the governing board has been to decide what books the school district buys for the next 10 years.
I think that's a very, hot topic right now when there's some books being forced into schools. You want to complain about it, but did you vote?
There you go. I
think that's honestly like a very, real thing that's happening right now.
Absolutely.
So even down to the curriculum that's in schools, the books that kids are forced to read within the school, that's very interesting. I actually did not know that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm getting put on game right now.
Hey, this is education right now.
Absolutely.
We going to school.